Hello, hello. Welcome to A Moment in Time with Nex. I like to read books, and I know a lot of people don't really do a whole lot of reading anymore. So, what I like to do here on my YouTube channel is read different books that I find interesting and then share them with you guys so I can give you highlights and a summary of the book so you don't have to read it if you don't want to, but you still get the information and the benefits as if you had read it. And if you're interested in that, please do subscribe to my channel. I do have a playlist with all my book reviews on it, so you can see all of my past book reviews as well. I prefer nonfiction books, so it's mostly going to be nonfiction, like this one that we're doing today, Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer, maybe. Something like that. You can take a screenshot if you want. It's also in the title. And this book is not for the faint of heart. It is pretty intense, more intense than I expected, but also kind of exactly what I was needing and hoping for. So it is a book about eating animals. And mostly what he gets into here is the difference between what many of us think of, or at least I know I did, when we think of a farm and when we think of animals that are going to end up ultimately on somebody's plate. And it's kind of like something out of Little House on the Prairie, or, it's like we picture these like family run farms. It's like a family that's out there working hard, intimately, personally with the animals every day. The animals have these big green pastures to run around in. And they live a relatively nice life up until, the time that they are needed to be executed for or slaughtered for food. And that is simply so far removed from the current reality of the food industry and the meat industry in particular, and how these animals are no longer treated like living beings. They're not treated like sentient animals. They're treated as like machines meant only to provide us with what we hope to get from them, whether it's their meat or their other products, different kind of animal products that we use, or even testing on animals, which he didn't get into that particular animal mistreatment, because he's really talking about eating animals in the food industry. But fishing as well, even the way that fishing is done nowadays is no longer, some guy going out on a boat with like a fishing rod and seeing what he can catch. I mean, these are huge industrial level operations. And it was really heartbreaking and it was really tragic. And I've watched some of those documentaries before, Food Inc. and Forks Over Knives and different things that had gotten me to consider this in the past, but by actually sitting here and reading page by page through a book over, I don't know, maybe a month or so that it took me to read it, it really was able to kind of settle in a way that was not just a 90-minute documentary, but I was reading this over time and sitting with it and reflecting on it. And after reading this book, I don't eat meat anymore, mostly. So he has a term in the book that I really like called selective omnivorism. So we hear about people being carnivores and eating meat, and we hear about people being vegetarians and not eating meat, but sometimes a vegetarian will eat eggs or they'll eat dairy, or, there's all these different labels. And one that I had never heard before that I was introduced to in this book is being a selective omnivore, which means I don't think there's anything unnatural about humans eating animals and eating meat. What I think is unnatural, and maybe not, the argument isn't really how natural is it. The argument is more, it's not, like, I can't justify it ethically and morally in my heart to take my money and buy a product from a company that is just basically torturing, killing animals. I mean, their lives are so far removed from what we think of an animal living on a farm would be like, that I think it's important to be exposed to this kind of information. So I've been a selective omnivore ever since. I think since finishing reading this book, I've eaten meat twice, neither of which were justifiable in terms of ethics, both of which were justified for silly sillier things. Like one was Cinco de Mayo, and the place that I was at, all they had for options for tacos were meat tacos. So I got chicken. And then I was really, really hungry and I was running out of time and I had to do all these things in one day. And I was going to my friend's house and she offered me some beef stew that she had made, and I ate, which I feel like they probably did get, some level of like grass-fed or something kind of beef, but still, neither of them were really justifiable based on anything that I learned from this book. And really, he doesn't even go into all the health benefits of eating less meat and less animal products and the health benefits of being vegetarian or vegan. But I think that's worth mentioning when we're talking about this kind of thing, is people who don't eat meat seem to have much better health outcomes. They seem to have a lot better vitamins and minerals. They're overweight substantially less. I was struggling to lose these 5 like pesky pounds that I just could not lose. And just by simply cutting meat out of my diet, I was able to lose that 5 pounds, and I don't feel hungry or starved or like I don't have enough options for food. It's 2023. We have so many options. We have access to so many different alternatives. So I have found that I really like jackfruit as a meat substitute, and black bean veggie burgers are 2 of my favorite kind of like fake meats. But I didn't eat a ton of meat to begin with, and I like eating a lot of veggies and rice and carbs. I do try to eat healthier carbs, and I eat organic, and I have these other reasons, for my own personal health, but simply just for the way that these animals are treated, and that these companies really aren't held accountable to any legitimate extent unless we just simply refuse to, the buck stops with the customer, because by you giving them your money and saying, yes, I want this extremely cheap, tortured, probably bacteria-ridden, really nasty meat, then they're just going to keep doing it because you're telling them that's what you want. So I think that was a big shift for me, is like, I definitely can't legitimize buying anything myself. If I have a guest over and they want to eat some kind of meat product, I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to impose this on other people, but it does get the conversation started when you don't really eat meat and you mention that. People usually will ask why. And there's so many different reasons that people go vegetarian, but I feel like the most, to me, the most important thing comes from this book, which is I just can't get down. I can't justify doing that to animals. I can get my proteins and my vitamins and everything that I need for sustenance and thriving from other products. So I don't need to kill anything. I was vegan for a few weeks after reading it, but then I was really struggling one day. I was having trouble with sleeping, and I was on maybe 3 hours of sleep, and I was really hungry, and I got eggs and dairy. And I've been eating dairy pretty much since. I need to do more research on the dairy industry to really help me with that bit, because it's hard to find alternatives to cheese. That one I'm having a hard time with, although I did find a vegan pizza that I like. So it's kind of like this journey and this process that has started in my life from reading this book. And I think it's worth learning about. Usually I say I read these books so you don't have to, but I think that if you're struggling with this and you're feeling like this is probably the case for you too, like if you really knew you wouldn't be comfortable with it, then this might be a book you actually want to pick up, because it's so different sitting there reading all the different stories than it is to just talk about it for a few seconds or a few minutes with somebody here and there. I really need to redo my nails. Okay. So I think that pretty much summarizes it. Hi, Nikki. Let me just catch up with chat here. Nikki, first comment of the broadcast. Interesting styles. Okay. Hi, how are you? That's Rockin' Bob, right? Hi, Mark. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you as well. I almost forgot that was tomorrow. You've never been in YouTube's chat before? Oh yeah, live stream on YouTube? Well, welcome in, Leo. I'm just about to wrap up. This wasn't a super long, it's so simple. Do you think that animals deserve to be treated with respect, basically? Because the slaughtering process is one thing, right? Like, we can do our best to slaughter an animal as humanely as possible, and to hunt it and to fish it and to do whatever we need to do. But if we are going to hold something hostage and captive for our benefit, I think we owe it. It's like it's a give and take. Like if you're going to be able to get a delicious meat out of this, then you should give it something too, like at least halfway decent life. My God, the living conditions in many of these animals is so disturbing that it changed my life. It changed the way I eat, and I think it probably would do the same for many of us. And ultimately, even though it comes from a place of just having empathy for other living beings, I think what's really important is that, or not what's really important, but what is kind of like the cherry on top is that your health benefits as well. So what have you got to lose besides a bunch of extra weight and bills and, unnecessary calories? Because we eat way more than we need to, even in terms of someone wants to argue about health, which I actually covered this on my podcast. If you want to check that out, I do have my podcast here on my YouTube channel as well. There's a playlist called Nex Talks, and that's my podcast. I'm Nex. I talk. I hope you like it. And I talk about like all of the different amino acids and whether or not we can get proteins from vegetables and what we need to eat if we are going to remove meat from our diet. The number one takeaway, which really has nothing to do with this book, is that vitamin B12 only comes from animal products, except it can be cultured from bacteria as well. So things like kombucha has vitamin B12. So if you are not consuming any animal products at all, I think it's really important to at least have kombucha as part of your diet or taking B12 supplements, because that's really important for energy. But like I said, the argument isn't that it's unnatural to eat animals. It's that the way that it's done nowadays, just know the background of your meat before you consume it. Just know that you can get behind the farmers that you're supporting. Buy local, buy organic, do the best that you can with your money. And if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't be buying it. Really, you don't need it. There's no real financial justification for eating this way, in my opinion, either, because there's just so many alternative options for food, and you can get everything that you need from other foods. You don't need to eat meat. So that's not really an argument either. And if you are going to eat meat, which is perfectly fine, I think, just make sure that it's coming from a source that you feel good about ethically. All right. Hi, Carmen. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. It should be treated really well and respected. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I've been making my own oat milk, so I've been streaming that on my Instagram channel. Same username over there, NexJuice, if you want to check that out. Coffee creamer as well. I'm actually going to go make a coffee right now. So and then I'm going to be spending some time with some friends later. I am moving in about a week, so it's going to be a crazy rest of the week. But my live streams on Twitch will be going off as normal on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we do Tarot Tuesdays, and we do community nights on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Tarot Tuesday can happen anytime throughout the day on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. Make sure your notifications are turned on Twitch or on Discord. You can join the Discord to figure out where I'm going live, with what, and when. I probably won't stream again tonight, but we'll see. I will be with Scarlett, and sometimes me and her like to stream together, so we'll see. Lots of potential stuff that's going to go on today. I'm going to make a coffee. I'm going to pack up a box and just keep moving towards this move. We're moving towards the moving. Yeah, I like that idea, Bob. Exactly. If you have a connection to a farm that you'd like to support, yeah, if you can figure out what's the best way to get it from them and respect what's feeding you. Yes, exactly. It's like the idea of biting the hand that feeds, You saw a film called Earthlings and it changed your diet. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that one out. Do I have my recipe dialed in? My recipe? What did the oat milk. I do for the oat milk. The creamer, I still am not sure. I've been using the creamer fine. Like, it's not so bad, but I would like it to be a little sweeter. So I was thinking maybe either to do less. Well, I really do think I need to do a full cup of oats. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just add in a little maple syrup to what we did last time and see. It's like so much harder to witness yourself adding the amount of creamer or the amount of sweeteners to this than if you just like buy a carton of creamer from the shelf, You're just like, I don't know what's in there. It's fine. So when you actually have to like make something yourself, you're faced with the ingredients, which is another great way to be mindful of what you're eating. And we talked about that more in The last one I read, which was called Feeding You Lies by Vani Hari. I think I did a review on that already. I should have. That was a really good one, just in terms of like big food industries in general. And that wasn't about vegetarianism or anything. That was more about health and like how these companies are just chasing profits. They're not chasing health. You need to chase your health, and they will provide it as long as you vote in that direction with your money, you know, with what you purchase. Thank you, Leo. I hope I do too, and I hope you do as well. I love you guys all so much. Oh, did I say hi to everyone? Mark, I don't know if I said hi. Hi. Love you guys. You are worthy of being loved and feeling comfortable in your own skin. This has been A Moment in Time with Nex. Thanks for hanging out on YouTube. Feel free to check out my other videos. If you watch enough videos, maybe one day I will actually monetize my YouTube channel. Imagine that. Look, we sealed up some holes. There was a shelf here. We got progress happening here. So little by little, these things are gonna disappear as we get ready for the move. Bye, guys. Expreme diem. Squeeze the day. This has been A Moment in Time with Nex. Bye.